2 a.m., and I will call the meeting of the District of Columbia Board of Ethics and Government Accountability to order. I'm Bega Chairperson Norma Hutcheson, and this meeting is being held at the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability at 1030 15th Street Northwest, Suite 700 West, and virtually. Joining me today for this meeting are board members Charles Nottingham, Darrin Sobin, and Melissa Tucker. Together, the four of us constitute a quorum for this meeting. Since it was first posted, the agenda has not changed. I ask that you please take a minute to review the agenda, and then I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll offer the motion that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the agenda for today's meeting. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the board has adopted the agenda for today's meeting. Also before us today are the October 2024 draft meeting minutes. Will a member make a motion that we consider the approval of these meeting minutes?
I'll offer the motion that we approve the meeting minutes from our prior meeting.
Is there a second?
Second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded that the board consider the approval of the October 2024 meeting minutes. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, the board approves the October 2024 meeting minutes. Next, we'll hear a report from the Office of Open Government. Chief Counsel Louis Neal will present the report on behalf of the office. Chief Counsel Neal, please proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson Hutcheson and members of the board. I'm Louis Neal, Chief Counsel for the Office of Open Government, and I'm pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Open Government on behalf of Director Niquelle Allen. Since the last board meeting, OOG has continued to fulfill its mission of ensuring that all persons receive full and complete information regarding the affairs of the District of Columbia government and the actions of those who represent them. I will begin with Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advisory opinions. The Director of Open Government has not issued an advisory opinion since the board's last meeting. Informal advice. Since the last board meeting, OOG has responded informally via email, telephone, or teleconference to requests for assistance as follows: 12 requests for OMA advice, 4 requests for FOIA advice, and 8 requests for technical assistance with open-dc.gov. Meeting monitoring. OOG staff attends public bodies meetings in person and remotely to ensure compliance with the Open Meetings Act. They also inspect public bodies' websites and OOG's central meeting calendar for public meeting notices and records. OOG attorneys provide legal advice on OMA compliance and take corrective action if necessary. Since the last board meeting, OOG's legal staff attended 22 public body meetings. As a result of the monitoring, 3 corrective measures were communicated. The public bodies failed to do the following things. First, post detailed agenda. Second, record open sessions. And third, post meeting minutes timely. I'll next turn to training and outreach. Case Management Tracking System demonstration. On October 8, 2024, representatives of Wingswept LLC facilitated introductory training on how to use their case management tracking system software program. The presenters demonstrated how to navigate through the system, explained features of the tracking system step by step, and responded to questions on specific capabilities of the system relating to the workflow of the office. I, along with Director Niquelle Allen, Attorney Advisor Anthony Skirbo, Attorney Advisor Brandon Lewis, Attorney Advisor Joan Lelma, and Paralegal Kimberly Brown attended the training. I'll now turn to Ethics Week's 2024 sessions attended by OOG staff. Global to Local, Lessons for Open Government and Civic Engagement for DC. On October 15, 2024, Director Allen participated as a panelist at Global to Local, Lessons for Open Government and Civic Engagement for DC, hosted by the Federal General Services Administration. The event was held in person at the Martin Luther King Public Library and explored how international and national open government efforts relate to local communities such as Washington, D.C. Kathy Patterson, auditor for the District of Columbia, served as the keynote speaker. The director, along with Attorney Skirbo and Attorney Lewis, attended the session. Introduction and open remarks from the director. On October 15, 2024, OGE Director Ashley Cooks provided opening remarks and a brief overview of the Office of Government Ethics. I, along with Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lewis, and Attorney Lelma, attended the session. Can they do that? On October 15, 2024, Bega General Counsel Rashi Raj, Senior Assistant to the Attorney General David Rosenthal, Deputy Inspector General for External Affairs Matt Wilcoxon, and Deputy Director of the Mayor's Office of Legal Counsel Vanessa Natali served as panelists for the session. Can they do that? The panel discussion featured real-life ethics scenarios discussed through a DC Code of Ethics Code of Conduct lens. Director Allen, along with Attorney Scarborough and Attorney Lewis, attended the session. Local Hatch Act Game Show. On October 15, 2024, Senior Counsel to the Bega Board, Lynn Tran, facilitated an interactive game show providing ethics questions and answers for participants to compete. Director Allen, along with Attorney Lelma, attended the session. Financial Disclosure Workshop. On October 15, 2024, OGE Attorney Advisor Franchon Van and OGE Program Specialist Stanley Kosick presented Financial Disclosure Workshop. The training provided an overview of Bega's financial disclosure program, explained why financial disclosure statements are collected, and how to file. Director Allen, along with Attorney Skirbo and Attorney Lelma, attended the session. Common ethics violation. Learn them and avoid them. October 16, 2024, OGE Supervisory Investigator Ronald Cook and Investigator Ileana Corrales provided an overview of Bega's investigative process, the life cycle of an investigation, and investigative techniques. Paralegal Brown attended the session. Recusal Workshop, when and how. On October 16, 2024, OGE Supervisory Attorney Asia Stewart Mitchell facilitated an interactive workshop reviewing what recusal means, the circumstances when employees should recuse themselves, how to write a recusal, and with whom a recusal should be shared. Paralegal Brown attended the session. Ask Bega. On October 16, 2024, OGE Attorney Advisors facilitated a lively Q&A session answering pre-submitted anonymous ethics questions. Attorneys Skirbo and Paralegal Brown attended that session. Being ethical is harder than you think. On October 16, 2024, owner of 21st Century Learning and Consulting, Michael Brett Hood, presented an exercise on how the mind can inadvertently promote unethical behavior and identified how the transformation occurs within the subconscious. Director Allen, along with Attorney Lelma and Paralegal Brown, attended the session. FOIA and OMA introduction. On October 17, 2024, Director Allen opened a full day of FOIA and open meetings courses and discussed electronic meetings and artificial intelligence with an introduction to the Office of Open Government and an update of the office's activities. I, along with Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lewis, Attorney Lelma, and Paralegal Brown, attended the session. Overview of DC FOIA. On October 17, 2024, Attorney Skirbo presented overview of DC FOIA. The session provided an interactive discussion of the district's Freedom of Information Act. I, along with Director Allen, Attorney Lewis, Attorney Lelma, and Paralegal Brown, attended the session. Newcomer's Guide to the Open Meetings Act. On October 17th, Attorney Lewis presented Newcomer's Guide to the Open Meetings Act. This presentation outlined the requirements of OMA. I, along with Director Allen, Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lelma, and Paralegal Brown, attended the session. Parliamentary procedure. On October 17, 2024, former OOG trial attorney Nicholas Weil provided an overview of parliamentary procedure and highlighted the District of Columbia's Roberts Rule of Order training portal. I, along with Director Allen, Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lewis, Attorney Lelma, and Paralegal Brown, attended the session. Overview of recent OMA and FOIA advisory opinions and advice. On October 17, 2024, I presented an overview of recent OMA and FOIA advisory opinions. Director Allen, Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lewis, Attorney Loma, and Paralegal Brown attended the session. Fireside Chat, Journalism and Ethics. On October 18, 2024, Director Allen served as a panelist on a discussion of open government and ethics with local journalists and Director Cooks. The session was moderated by Supervisory Attorney Stuart Mitchell. I, along with Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Loma, and Paralegal Brown, attended that session. Outside Employment Overview. On October 18, 2024, OG Attorney Advisor Maurice Eccles presented Outside Employment Overview. The course highlighted the district's restrictions on outside employment and provided tips on how to navigate outside employment ethically. Director Allen, along with Attorney Loma and Paralegal Brown, attended the session. Legal Ethics for Government Attorneys. On October 18, 2024, Senior Legal Ethics Counsel at the District of Columbia Bar, Niquelle L. Matthews, Bega General Counsel Raj, and Supervisory Attorney Stuart Mitchell moderated Legal Ethics and Government Attorneys. This course provided an overview of the legal ethics rules for government attorneys. Attorney Loma attended the training. Finding the Law in the District of Columbia. On October 22, 2024, Senior Assistant Attorney General James McKay from the Office of the Attorney General presented Finding the Law in the District of Columbia. The training covered legislative enactments and resolutions by the Council and Congress, judicial decisions and court rulings, both local and federal, and executive actions, both district and federal, including agency decisions. I, along with Director Allen, Attorney Skirbo, Attorney Lewis, Attorney Loma, and Paralegal Brown attended the session. First Annual D.C. Bar Foundation's 5K Walk for Justice. On October 24, 2024, Attorney Skirbo participated in the First Annual D.C. Bar Foundation's 5K Walk for Justice. Certification trainings for District of Columbia Records Managers. On November 7, 2024, Attorney Loma completed the 6-part certification training for District of Columbia Records Managers, developed by the training unit of the District of the D.C. Office of Public Records and Archives. Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs Veterans Day Reception. On November 7, 2024, Attorney Skirbo attended the Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs Veterans Day Reception and photo with other district government, veterans, and Mayor Bowser at the John A. Wilson Building. I will now turn to litigation and legislative updates. Litigation. D.C. Open Government Coalition versus District, case number 2023-CAB-007251, D.C. Superior Court. Director Allen has previously reported on this case, which involves D.C. OGC's suit seeking an accounting of the backlog of public records requests submitted through the FOIA Express public access link. The plaintiff asked the court to set a briefing scheduled for motions for summary judgment. The government opposed this on the basis that no new issues had been raised since the last time the parties had briefed the issue. On September 18, 2024, the court ordered the plaintiff to provide a supplemental brief explaining why new motions for summary judgment are necessary. The plaintiff filed its supplemental brief as well as a motion for leave to amend its complaint on October 2, 2024. The district responded with an opposition to plaintiff's motion for leave to amend the complaint on October 23, 2024. In its motion, the district argues that the parties' cross motion for summary judgment are ripe for determination and that the plaintiff is seeking to add new facts and claims based on 2 additional FOIA requests that post-date the filing of its complaint. The district contends that the plaintiff should have sought leave to supplement rather than amend its complaint, but that regardless, the plaintiff's belated motion should be denied because it unduly prejudices the district as the plaintiff's complaint is moot. The plaintiff filed a reply to the defendant's opposition to the plaintiff's motion for leave to file first amended complaint on October 30, 2024. Plaintiff argues that the previous summary judgment briefing primarily concerned a spreadsheet titled as Defendant's Exhibit 13, and the district subsequently introduced additional exhibits 15 through 17 that the plaintiff had no opportunity to respond to. The next status hearing is scheduled for November 22, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. Both the district's motion and the plaintiff's reply have been added in Dropbox. OG staff will continue to monitor. Legislation. DC Water Critical Infrastructure Freedom of Information Clarification Amendment Act of 2024. As Director Allen reported last month, the Council passed the DC Water Critical Infrastructure Freedom of Information Clarification Amendment Act of 2024 unanimously, and the bill was signed by the Mayor on October 18, 2024. It was returned on October 21st, 2024, and enacted with Act Number A25-0573. The bill was published on October 25th, 2024 in the DC Register, Volume 71, page 012816, and transmitted to Congress on the same day with a projected law date of December 21st, 2024. To reiterate, the temporary bill in effect, any DC FOIA advice issued is covered by the temporary legislation in effect and will be permanent once the permanent act becomes law. Federal Review of Agency Action Clarification Amendment Act. On Tuesday, November 12, 2024, legislative meeting, under 2024 legislative meeting, during reading and vote on emergency legislation, the Council passed both B25-1023, the Review of Agency Action Clarification Temporary Amendment Act of 2024, and PR 25-1056, the Review of Agency Action Clarification Amendment Declaration Resolution of 2024. These temporary and emergency measures amend the District of Columbia's Administrative Procedure Act to codify agency deference and clarify that a reviewing court or tribunal shall defer to an agency's reasonable interpretation of a statute or regulation it administers, so long as that interpretation is not plainly wrong or inconsistent with the statutory or regulatory language of the legislature's intent. These measures are in response to the recent Supreme Court Chevron decision, due to the substantial similarity between the District Administrative Procedure Act and the parallel federal law. Both measures and related documents have been added to Dropbox. Rulemaking Public Comment Modernization Amendment Act of 2024. The Committee on Executive Administration and Labor, to which B25-0790, the Rulemaking Public Comment Modernization Amendment Act of 2024 was referred, reported favorably, and recommended approval by the full council On Tuesday, November 12, 2024, the council voted to pass this legislation, which requires that the Office of Documents and Administrative Issuances accept submission of comments in electronic form for all documents published in the District of Columbia Register, which require a public commenting period. The bill and the related documents are in Dropbox. Administrative matters. Fiscal year 26 budget kickoff. On October 10th, 2024, Director Allen, Director Cooks, Chief of Staff Mitchell, and Administrative Officer Dow attended the kickoff meeting for formulating the fiscal year 26 budget hosted by the Office of the City Administrator. The meeting included an update on budget forecasts and instructions on how to make budget requests. Bega will meet with the Office of the City Administrator on November 20th, 2024, regarding its fiscal 26 budget. New Bega Records Officer Joan Lelma, Esquire. Attorney Advisor Joan Lelma is now serving as Bega's Records Officer and is responsible for Bega's record retention schedule and coordinating with the Office of Public Records on behalf of the agency. This concludes the Office of Open Government's November 14, 2024 report, and I am happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Chief Counsel Neal. Are there any questions?
Quite a bit.
Is Ms. Lil
Thank you.
Lelma with us?
Yes, she is. No?
Just want to say welcome. Good to have you. Okay. If there are no questions, next on our agenda, we'll hear from the Director of the Office of Government Ethics, Ashley Cooks. Director Cooks, please proceed.
Good morning, Chairperson Hutcheson and members of the board. I'm Ashley Cooks, the Director of Government Ethics. I'm pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Government Ethics. First is an update on the status of OGE operations. The information reported today regarding OGE's cases will not reflect any status changes that may occur because of actions taken today by the board, during this meeting. For open investigations by status, we have a grand total of 60 open matters. We have one matter that is open pending a show cause hearing for a grand total of 61. We have 5 undocketed matters. Pending state investigations by status, we have 35 matters that are closed pending collection, 1 matter stayed pending D.C. Superior Court case, 5 matters stayed for OIG investigation, 4 matters stayed for U.S. District Court case for a grand total of 45. For regulatory matters by status, we have 36 matters that are closed pending collection, 259 matters that are open for a grand total of 295. Again, we currently have 61 open investigations and 10 matters that are stayed. The number of open preliminary and formal investigations includes 11 new matters. The investigative team resolved 10 investigations since the board last met. This total does not reflect the number of complaints that were dismissed for a lack of jurisdiction. Earlier this week, OGE published its quarterly complaint report and ethics heat map for the 4th quarter of fiscal year 2024. A copy was placed in the Dropbox. Next is an update on trainings and outreach. First, professional development trainings attended by staff. Program Support Assistant Nikita Titus attended Introduction to DC Gov Contracting, as well as the orientation to become a republic for the agency. Program Coordinator Stan Kosick took the course titled Statistics and Probability. Over 50% of OGE's employees have completed the annual mandatory cybersecurity training course as of this week. The annual refresher course includes information about upcoming tactics cyber criminals will try to use against district government employees and agencies. All employees and contractors must take the training by Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. For trainings conducted by staff, since the last board meeting, OGE conducted 8 trainings. These included 2 new employee orientation ethics trainings, November monthly ethics and monthly Hatch Act trainings, the October quarterly board and commissions trainings, 2 ethics trainings for the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, and a customized scenario-based training for the Department of Disability Services. The office also offered 16 training courses during Ethics Week. During the month of October, 131 employees completed ethics training using PeopleSoft, and 6 employees were added to the learning management system. For outreach, October marked the end of another successful Ethics Week, our annual conference, which took place October 15th through the 18th. This year's theme was Empowered by Ethics, and the courses were designed to provide attendees with knowledge and ways to apply ethics and open government rules. The first 2 days of the conference took place at our office and had 129 attendees. The remaining days were virtual and attracted 1,090 attendees. We offered new courses such as Common Ethics Violations, Learn Them and Avoid Them, a recusal workshop, and a fireside chat, Journalism and Ethics, as well as traditional courses such as Parliamentary Procedure and Being Ethical is Harder Than You Think. I'd like to thank the Ethics Week Committee Chair, Attorney Asia Stewart Mitchell, for her hard work and the committee for making Ethics Week 2024 a success. Lastly, OGE published the 5th edition of its bi-monthly newsletter, Ethically Speaking, on October 23rd. A copy was placed in the Dropbox. Next is an update on advisory opinions and advice. First is informal advice. OGE's legal staff provided advice for approximately 43 ethics inquiries, which is 11 more than the 32 reported at the last board meeting. This number does not include responses we have provided to questions regarding the lobbyist and FDS e-filing systems. For formal advisory opinions, OGE has not issued any formal advisory opinions this month. OGE has 2 advisory opinions in the works with the hopes that they can be published before the end of the year. One advisory opinion is about widely attended gatherings, and the other is an advisory opinion on lobbying. OGE is also in the process of editing the Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner Sign-On Letters advisory opinion. Next is an update on legislation and rulemaking. The only update there is financial disclosure rulemaking. On November 1st, Bega's most recent financial disclosure rulemaking was published in the D.C. Register for a 30-day comment period. The financial disclosure rulemaking addresses technical and minor substantive changes to the financial disclosure regulations. This rulemaking will provide clarity for regulations that are ambiguous and corrects language that aligns with the Ethics Act, corrects language so that it aligns with the Ethics Act and Chapter 18 of the District Personnel Regulations. The comment period ends on Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Next is an update on OGE administrative matters. First is an update on our vacancies. OGE is in the process of posting its attorney advisor and human resources specialist vacancies, as well as finalizing the position description for a legal fellow. FY26 budget. OGE and OOG are preparing the agency's FY26 budget submission. Bega received its mark, which does not include any reductions. However, Bega will face shortfalls in its FY26 budget due to increases in fringe benefits and step increases in salaries, as well as expenses such as IT assessment fees and human resources services, which are not assessed to subordinate agencies. We plan to request budget enhancements for additional staff and funding to the non-personal services fund. Our budget submission before the executive, our budget presentation before the Executive Office of the Mayor is scheduled for November 20th. Next is an update on financial disclosure statement, FDS. Pursuant to DC Official Code Sections 1-1162.24 and 1-1162.25, public officials and certain government employees must file a financial disclosure statement as a means of transparency and to prevent engaging in conduct that violates the Financial Conflicts of Interest statute. Bega is responsible for ensuring that employees and public officials who meet the statutory requirement file their annual financial disclosure statements. The FDS team is in the final stages of enforcement measures for those filers who did not submit their 2024 statements in a timely manner. The Office of Pay and Retirement Services has garnished a $300 fine from delinquent filers, and fine notices were sent to former employees. Lastly, council members' next biannual filings are due on November 15th. Reminder letters were delivered to council members and their staff on October 15th, October 22nd, October 29th, and November 7th. Next is an update on lobbying registration and reporting, LRR. Pursuant to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.27A, a person who receives compensation or expends funds in an amount of $250 or more in any 3 consecutive calendar month period for lobbying shall register with the Director of Government Ethics and pay the required registration fee. According to DC Official Code Section 1-1162.30, each registrant shall file a quarterly report concerning the registrant's lobbying activity during the previous quarter. On September 13th, the LRR team sent 895 registrants and clients notice that the 2024 Quarter 3 activity reports were due on October 15th. The notice included the new fee and late penalty fee structures. To date, there are 11 registrants who have not filed their Quarter 3 activity reports. And Auditor Courtney Walker has completed audits that are currently being reviewed by the LRR team. Last is an update on public investigations. The first one is 24-0009F, Henry Aretha Chapman. This is a formal investigation based on allegations that the respondent violated the outside employment restrictions by working 5 or 6 hours per day, but claiming 8 or 9 hours on her timesheet, violated the government property restrictions by obtaining confidential information under false pretenses, and violated the prohibition on using public officer private gain by using her status as a DC public school employee to obtain confidential information. A hearing is scheduled for today at 2 p.m. Next is 24-0010F, Henry Marcellus Willis. This is a formal investigation based on a complaint that the respondent, former employee of the University of the District of Columbia, used a government purchase card to make unauthorized purchases. The respondent worked at UDC for 5 years and was responsible for handling procurement for the board approved a notice of violation, which contains allegations that respondent violated DPM 1800.3G by using public officer private gain, M 1808.1, by failing to protect and conserve government property. A public hearing is scheduled for March 7, 2025. Thank you. This concludes the Office of Government Ethics, November 14, 2024 report. I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Cooks. Are there any questions for Director Cooks?
It seems like we just finished the last one. I think we're on the same schedule as you guys are at the bar, because it always. But what is the you're asking for additional employees? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. For OGE, we're asking for additional audit staff because as you know, our Ethics Act requires that we audit all financial disclosure statements. And we have not been doing that because we only have one auditor. So what we've been doing is taking a sample set of those statements and doing an audit based on that, mostly looking at folks who have outside employment, looking at things that are flagged by ethics counselors. So we haven't been able to fulfill our statutory mission in that process because we don't have enough staff.
Additional auditor.
Correct. And I think from OOG's standpoint, an additional attorney.
The trial attorney position, restoration of trial attorney position, statutorily, we are mandated to obviously take, are authorized to take folks to court, to Superior Court for violations of the Open Meetings Act. Our trial attorney position just kind of needs to be restored back to our.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that we lost it.
Well, we didn't lose it. We just simply, it's not, I don't know if it's so much a restoration as it is an enhancement. Our position, after Attorney Weil left, we replaced her with Attorney Loma, who's not a trial attorney. Obviously needed help. We were short-staffed. She has taken over our public schools cluster, the education cluster. So she's specializing in that. However, we do have that vacancy in our trial attorney position, which is part of our FTEs.
You say it's a vacancy though, but we used the FTE for something else, and now we're asking for an additional FTE so we can fill it with the trial attorney.
Well, we were definitely asking for another attorney position in the first place. But the trial attorney position that we currently have, that it's that position hasn't been vacated. So, we're just asking.
Additional FTE.
It would be an additional FTE. We reclassed the trial attorney position.
I think Director Cook, you have a compelling argument. I'm a little more worried about yours because they're going to ask you how many times you've gone into court. I haven't heard of many.
Yeah, but I think our argument would be that that's obviously as part of our mission, that we are, statutorily, obligated to, I guess, to have that position because we are authorized to take, folks to court for violations of Open Meetings Act. So.
And additionally, the demand on the current attorney advisor staff is such that an attorney advisor / trial attorney position is justified on the basis of not just trial, but overall work, especially having added the education cluster attorney. In theory, every LSAT level school advisory team for every DC public school and every public charter school board of trustees are subject to the Open Meetings Act. So there's been over the last several years a substantial expansion of OMA oversight.
Correct.
Maybe that's the winning argument there, which the trial attorney would be skilled enough to be able to go into court as a litigator, but wouldn't be sitting around waiting to do that.
That is correct.
There's plenty of work.
And that was, to be clear, with Attorney Weil, that was how the position was.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but just a comment. I was able to attend a few of the Ethics Week sessions, and I thought they were terrific. Somehow you're able to make the week better and better every year. So I just understand.
You're very welcome.
The one that I went to, the DC bar one, I thought was great. Unfortunately for me, it was a super busy week, so I didn't get to the other ones. But one suggestion, you may want to rethink the, because it was only me and Attorney Attorney Lynn and one other person. So it was four of us at the end of a long meeting, but it was fun anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions and comments. I do want to note that that board member Felice Smith has joined us, has been with us for a while. Next on the agenda is public comments. Members of the public in attendance at this meeting or have an opportunity now to make a comment. Are there any such visitors? If there are no comments from the public, we'll proceed with the next item on the agenda. And this is the executive session. This is a closed session to discuss ongoing confidential investigations pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B14, to consult an attorney to obtain legal advice and to preserve the attorney-client privilege between an attorney and a public body pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B4A, to discuss personnel matters including the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, performance evaluation, compensation, discipline, demotion, removal, or resignation of government appointees, employees, or officials pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B10, to deliberate on a decision in which the Ethics Board will exercise quasi-judicial functions pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B13, and to discuss contract negotiation strategies pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B2. May I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Moved.
Is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the board enter into executive session. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Hearing none, board members, please log out of this meeting and sign into the executive session or move over to the boardroom for the executive session. We will return to this meeting after the conclusion of the executive session to report out any matters decided, finish any other business, and adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Okay, the time is now 12:50 p.m. and we are back on the record. The board, during its executive session, the board dismissed 24-0013-F in Ray Bridget Crowell. The board also approved a negotiated disposition in 24-0009-F in Ray Aretha Chapman that was scheduled for a hearing this afternoon. And since the negotiated disposition resolves this matter, the adversarial hearing that had been scheduled for 2 p.m. is now canceled. The board also voted to make public matter 25-0002-F in Ray Trayon White. It is now 12:51, and this concludes the DC Board of Ethics and Government Accountability meeting for today. The next meeting will be held here at the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability, 1230 15th Street, Northwest, Suite 700 West, and virtually on December 5th, 2024 at 12 noon. Thank you. That dismisses the meeting.